Hey guys, today I'm going to be making these doors for the fronts of the Crested Gecko tanks. Now in the last video I did the background, but I hadn't quite set them up yet, and I will go into that in the next couple of videos. But today I am just working on the doors, which I periodically worked on as I did the backgrounds and got all that situated and waited for them to dry. So there's some key component pieces that I'm going to show you before we get into the time lapse. And I don't know the names of everything exactly. I'm sure there's a receipt somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So I'll just show you what it is, and it's pretty basic stuff. Everything I pretty much found in like the window section of Lowe's. So it should be any hardware store. That's where you're gonna find it. But I'll show you what I used to get to this point, and then I will explain why I'm not going to continue with this method, but it is a pretty good idea that I might use in the future for certain situations, just not this one. So let's get into it. Here are the components. We are making doors to fit into the frame of the 55-gallon fish tanks because we turn them into vertical terrariums for crested geckos. So here's the frame type dealio. So there's an aluminum frame thing. It's really easy to cut. You'll see me cutting it in the video. I just cut it with a saw. Just got a handheld saw. There's probably a better way. You could probably use an electric tool, but this is it. Just a simple aluminum dealio. Then you buy these packs of plastic pieces that fit into the corners, and they actually fit in really loosely, which is unfortunate, but yeah. And then you want to make a full rectangle. Now this is just, it's missing the piece because I took that off. But once you get it like this, then I used some Fuse It liquid nails, gray liquid nail stuff to hold it together. It does in fact hold it together very nicely, but it is not great for other things that just sit on. So I forget why, but for whatever reason I also bought these little metal pieces to sit on the corners. I didn't screw them in, but I just used this stuff, and they have mostly come off. Well, not mostly. A good portion of them have come off, and I tried to like this one I had to super glue on, which works just as well. It just leaves a little bit of residue. Actually, it doesn't. Look at that. I don't care. It's not important. But anyway, this piece isn't important. I don't remember why I had it. I want to say I had it just so it would keep it square. Yeah, I know why. I know why I had it. It's because the next part is you gotta put window screen mesh into it. So you want to get carbon fiber window screen mesh, which is this stuff. And then you're just going to put the roll over it, and you'll spool it in. I don't know why, but I want to say it's like spool. I don't know. This stuff, this is just like what you use to do windows, which is what we're doing here. We're making a window, essentially, just a window screen. So you put it in with this cool little tool that you'll see me using, and you'll put it around, and then you'll cut off the excess, and bam. The problem is these are really bendy, and when you have it in all four, when you have a full rectangle and you just put this in really tightly, and by the way, it's really easy to put this in. It seems intimidating. You feel like you're gonna have tons and tons of like parts that just like fold all about and it's gonna look terrible. No, it actually goes out really easily when you use this stuff. The problem is it goes out unevenly, and it kind of like, you don't see it, but it kind of is like stretching it, and it makes these, since they're so flimsy, it makes it go like that. But if you imagine the other piece still on there, it like bends it all weird. So then when you're trying to lay it flat and it's sitting there, it like goes out, and you don't want that with doors. And I'll show you that, I don't know in this video, but eventually, which is why I eventually decided well, I tried to use these to keep it more square, didn't work, and partly that's part of the reason why I'm moving away from this and using something else. But the idea still stands decently, and if you were going to do this over a tank, like an aquarium as the top, and you want to do it that way, good idea. Problem is, this is screened, and my house is dry because I have a wood-burning stove to heat our house. And my room can't stay as humid as crested geckos need, and I want them to have high humidity because they need high humidity. It's very important. So that's why my doors are currently surrounded with saran wrap, and they have been for a while. But I'm moving towards getting glass doors, which I will make videos about that in the future. But the idea here still stands, it's still good, and it still can be used for select things. So if you had like a 75-gallon that you're going to use for a bearded dragon, you can go ahead and make the top yourself, and this is how to do it. So I hope you enjoy. So here I just sat down on my couch. I got a saw with like a metal cutting blade, and I just went at it. And then I used the Fuse It liquid nails to put into the ends, and then I put in the corner pieces, and I made a bunch of rectangular frames, and here you can see it on all the tanks. And then I just let it dry within the tank things, so then it would be the right square or whatever, the right, because it was quite flimsy, but once I put the liquid nails in, it kind of helped there, and it kept it together really well. None of the doors aren't like falling apart, so that actually went about really well. And then I got out the window screen mesh and the spool. I want to say that's what it's called. No, spool. I don't know why I wanted to call it that, but anyway, here you can see I have the little tool, and I just cut the thing to the right length, and I put it all in, and sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit. But basically, all of them at this point just became lopsided. Like, you'll kind of see it bend as the stuff goes in. And I try to fix it, and I ate some grapes, and and it just didn't fix very well. And I tried, but it wasn't going so well. And then I used that X-Acto knife to cut about the off bits, and that worked out really well. So I just had to do this 6 times, but again, in the end, it was rather unfortunate that it's not going to work, because it bends it, the window stuff bends it, which isn't a problem if you have it locked in place, or you have the thing sitting on something, like if you used it at the top of an aquarium, or if you built it into a top of like a plywood tank. But if you have it as the doors, then it kind of bends out, which is really, really unfortunate. So here you can see I have them kind of sitting around, and most of them are bent in some way, which is just really not ideal. So once I had all of the window screen things done, the doors, I laid them out how I wanted them on each of the tanks, and then I went ahead and used the liquid nails to glue on hinges, which again, this has worked well, so the liquid nails aren't awful. But in the next part, I will start gluing on the corner pieces, which just didn't work at all. So for whatever reason, those just didn't stick. But these were to hopefully help keep these a little bit more square, and they kind of did their job, but not really. But as you can see here, they're actually laying down flat completely fine, so they're perfect tops for tanks. And you could make them, you can adjust whatever size, so you can make them just fit in, so then they're really snug and everything. I didn't want mine to be really snug because they're doors, but you could if you wanted to. So let's talk spools, because I am an idiot. So a spool is what you use to wrap thread around, or wire, or whatever the heck you use to put in window screens. So by association, I guess I thought that this was called spool when it's actually the thing you put your thread around, or wire, or whatever. Or it's a spa pool. So I don't think that's what I meant, but that's a thing. It's just a small pool that's kind of a spa, but not really. So anyway, this is an idea that you can try out if you want. I think it would work pretty well in certain situations, but as far as crested geckos go, I don't think it's great because I feel like a lot of people don't keep them as humid as they should. And by a lot of people, I mean I used to not keep them as humid as I should have. And I think that the two that passed away, and there's videos on each of them, did so by dehydration. And I wasn't aware of that because my house is very dry. And I tried then, after realizing that, oh gosh, this is dangerous. I have these new tanks that I just put my geckos in, and it's like too dry in this tank. I then decided that I would keep my room like 80% humidity, which caused like instant mold and all the bad things. Like your parents tell you that it's gonna cause mildew, but it really does, and it's gross and yellow and stuff. So not what I would recommend. So if you happen to have a lot of screen for your crested gecko, I suggest looking into a glass tank and getting more glass around it, and you can temporarily use saran wrap if that is something that interests you. And I think I filmed when I put the saran wrap on, so that'll be in a video sometime. And I will also have a video out showing how I use Exoterra tanks and what parts I put on to then keep more humidity for the crested gecko. So that'll be out too. But the next video is probably going to be about the substrate mix and what I did before I left for Arizona, because I didn't finish these tanks. I left for Arizona for a week, and then I came back and finished them, and then I'll show you planting them and taking down the other tanks and all of that stuff. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put in the comments below, and if you want more content, then please subscribe. Have a fantastic day.